Hello and welcome to episode 10 of our Waterbeavers Update 6 playthrough here in cycle 10, day 14, 7.5 days left in the drought. The game is still paused. You might be asking yourself why. Well, the answer to that question is because we are in a very, very bad situation. We're going to fix it today. We're going to do our absolute best. But there's going to be a lot of beavers that die, and there's going to be a lot of stuff that just has to be micromanaged. If you're on board with that, we'll go ahead and get going. If not, then, well, that's okay. But let's first off talk about what has gone wrong to get us to this point, just very briefly, and then we're going to talk about how we're going to solve it. I've actually planned this. I went and I played a little bit off camera. Obviously didn't save and keep that, but we're going to do it. We're going to get stuff fixed correctly because I owe that much to you. But what I did not do, probably the biggest thing that I did not do, is I did not put this little housing block back here to trap more water in here so it didn't all flow out. And that's what it's done. You can see it's peeling back the little edges of the water here. So these pumps are going to be useless very, very soon. These pumps, this one won't be, but these two will be very, very useless very, very soon. So that's 5 right off the bat water pumps out of, what, 10 that we have, just completely useless. And we have 84 beavers. Yeah, that's not going to sustain beavers, especially when we only have 171 water. What we do have, though, is we have a bunch of these food processes and other things that can and will be paused, starting with paper mill. There's a little bit of water in here, but there's also sawdust, and there's pine resin and all that stuff. We're just going to go ahead and pause right now. That takes 4 jobs away. This isn't going to update until we unpause, but we're not unpausing until we absolutely have to because all this water is going to go away. Other things that we don't need to be doing right now. We don't need to be running the primitive ironworks because we have completely full storage of everything that it can make that we actually want to be using. We could just say, hey, make some crude saw blades, but the rudimentary sawmill is already paused because we have way too many planks. So this paused. So now, in theory, we're only down 4 jobs. You see these that say 4 unemployed beavers. We have 5 incapacitated beavers. So the numbers aren't going to exactly match up. But it's fine. We have these things, the mushroom growers. The debate continues about what's actually better between slow and fast. They both have their merits, their uses. The fast ones end up using less water per mushroom, but it comes at the cost of having to have sawdust, and we do have sawdust. So if we're trying to conserve water, and we want to have just any amount of mushrooms inside of 3 days and 8 hours, then it's going to make sense in this specific instance. Not always, but in this specific instance, we want to be using the fast mushroom growth. This one's already set there. This one's at 96%, so I'm going to let it finish so we get our 40 mushrooms. This one's at 4%. I'm just going to go ahead and swap it over. This one's at 48%. I guess we could leave it, but these guys, we need to have food, or else bad things are going to happen, but we can minimize the amount of water we're using to make it. This right here, the mushroom grower making the brain-stimulating mushrooms, does have sawdust, but it does not have bad water. We could, if we felt like it, we could have somebody come down here to our backup bad water bucketing post, say that one 5 times fast, and keep getting that taken care of. But for the benefit of, keeping the beavers alive, we're going to pause this so we can take the sawdust and we can use it to make mushrooms quickly. And that's going to solve a lot of other problems. Other stuff that we can go ahead and pause. The distillery, in which we are making strong alcohol. It is not currently producing any because we don't have enough half-fermented sake, so that's fine. That pauses it. That also starts taking away some housing. We want to not continually breed new beavers when these inevitably die because of thirst or hunger or whatever, so that's fine. This fermentation barrel was already paused, so we were basically just wasting our time and wasting our beavers working whatever in the distillery. So that's already taken care of. The screw press has been paused for a very long time. The alchemist currently is producing brain-boosting salts that we can then put in the mechanics lodge so that we can try to make the blueprint for the floodgate dam. But we already have all of the brain-boosting salts for that. In fact, the only thing we're missing for this is paper. But because we paused the paper thing, this is completely unnecessary. So we're going to pause it. All these things that are in here will probably come out, but they can't really be consumed if there's nowhere that can actually consume them. We're not consuming paper, we're not consuming pencil sets, we're not consuming scrap metal, we're not consuming tar. Brain boosting salts, I don't know, somebody's probably going to say that they can't eat it if it's not whatever, but the main problem that we're having now with the water is because we don't have the 50 science to unlock the water pump upgrade, which is why I was so absolutely hell-bent on getting the library to make more science. But we did not have berries. We have other stuff in here. We have some food things, and we have 90 units of water. Remember, this is a crisis situation. Everything stops, so we can keep the beavers alive, try to recover, and then reassess our needs from there. So I am going to pause the library, because it's not going to do us any benefit right now to put in pump upgrades on pumps that are not going to be able to pump water. So that's going to be paused. That also saves us some workers. And that is going to then, because we're talking about berries, bring me back over here. We have some berries here that could be harvested, but there's no way to get up there. What we do have is we have logs. So despite us not having researched the stairs here, which we probably should very soon, remember, science is a pain in the butt with the Waterbeavers. We do have the ability to build log stairs of the scrambled variety based on your preference. But I'm not going to get to these quite yet because in terms of construction to save our beavers, there are much more important things we should be focusing on. Like right here, we have this marvelous, magnificent, giant, well, relatively, storage of some nice clean water, because this is where clean water comes out. And all of this is going to go completely away. We're going to have this one, this one, this one, and this one that are still going to be pumping, but that's only 4 pumps for about 80 beavers. That's not going to work. So what I'm going to have them do is I'm going to have them take this blockage out right here. We're going to run a path from here. Take this lumberjack flag out, because we have another one up here that we can already, be cutting down, but we're going to take that there. Then we are going to run this path out to here, where this will go through. I'm not going to bother putting a pump in this tiny little depression here, because by the time they built 1 or 2 pumps here, they'd suck it out in like a day, so like, why even bother? Not worth it. So what we will do instead is we will bring over here, of course, after they get rid of that, make that a high priority along with building that. Now we're going to have an opportunity here to put in a couple of water pumps. And we can leave these here. We don't have to use them all the time. But the easiest thing for us to do is just going to be to go right here, right here. I know they're not next to each other. It's fine. I just want to have 2 pumps that are in the deepest part of this lake so they can continue pumping out water as a survival thing. So that's going to be connected there. These are going to be the next most priority, maximum workplace priority. That's going to be fine. We also are going to want to have some storage over here so these guys working here don't have to go all the way back. And this is where the planks come in, because we have a lot of planks. We don't necessarily have anything to do with them. Plus, the plank tanks store 50% more water than the small tanks, and they don't take any logs. So I'm going to put in 2 of these here, just nice and easy. Go ahead and set these to supply, and then these guys should be able to take care of whatever. Once they're built, we can, assign haulers to them, so on and so forth. So that's our plan for water here. Obviously, long term, there's other stuff we could do, but to keep the beavers alive through the drought and make sure we can save this playthrough, that's what we're going to do. We already have, if you don't remember, we already have this path set in here. I could, if I really, really felt like it, I could go ahead and, remove these barriers as well, because then this would have all sorts of nice clean water flooding through here. But I'm going to choose not to do that at this time. We need to focus our efforts, try to streamline as much of our stuff as possible, and that's going to save the beavers. So we solved, quote-unquote, solved water. What are we doing about food? This is already set to make rice balls. And while that is, quote-unquote, an inferior recipe, what we do have a lot of is rice. We've got rice here ready to harvest, so if I set this to prioritize harvesting, obviously rice, set this to prioritize harvesting of rice instead of the sunflowers, then we are actually, this water is still going to be here for a while, so this one can be planting, and we'll plant some other stuff like Cabbages, just because cabbages are going to be the quickest thing. 5 days, 3 cabbages. They go in a bunch of different recipes. Green peas take 10 days. Yes, it gives you 5 of them, but we need food now. It's like the J.G. Wentworth commercial, but it's for fruit. For food. There you go. Correct terminology there. So we'll just plant some cabbages. I guess I could put some more here. It doesn't matter what else we're going to use these spaces for, because right now we need to keep the beavers alive. But this one definitely can harvest all this rice. The rice can go, like I was saying here, to the cooking tent so we can make rice balls. Because you cannot eat rice just by itself. You have to process it, so on and so forth. But this is something we're going to have a few hundred of by the time all this is harvested. And that's going to probably, assuming we can get enough salt, keep our beavers alive. And this does not have to have workers. This should just be supplied by haulers. That also means we're going to switch this from braised cabbage recipe over to the same recipe for the rice balls. And all of the stuff that was going to go into the braised cabbage, like these 69 mushrooms, can now come back out into regular storage and be consumed as food. And then this primitive mine here can now, because we've been shaving jobs, we can have 6 beavers here getting salt. I almost clicked on the wrong thing because I can't read. And that, I think, is sufficient for us to go ahead and unpause regular speed. Watch how things just kind of rebalance a little bit. Obviously, once these pumps stop pumping, we will shut them off, completely pause the buildings, try to condense the beavers because, again, they're going to die, and we don't want to make it any worse than it absolutely has to be. They're making enough sacrifices as it is. But the idea being, every 1.7 hours we make 1 unit of salt. These guys, every 7 hours, so since there's 2 of these, let's say every 3.5 hours they use 2 units of salt, which means every math hours they use one unit of salt. So this should balance out. This is now finished. Go ahead and pause. Go ahead and pause these. Yes, we have a lot of homeless beavers, but it will be okay. We're going to be fine. We have other options, because this gives us more haulers that might be helpful. Since the beavers are already here, I can have them working in here. Actually, there's no workers near it. They just live here. Okay, well, that's fine. But they're not, you know, wasting jobs. They're just having a place to live and not being homeless. Getting that going there. These are still pumping, like I said. The ones that can still pump will be allowed to continue pumping. And then they'll get shut down as time requires. But this also probably should be paused. But we have 7 unemployed beavers and 6 incapacitated. So we're actually fine for right now. We just need to make sure we're doing what we can to try and keep these beavers alive. Lots and lots of things to consider. So this is taken care of. This is going to mean that we have to have a path here. This is about the most direct route I could make getting over here without building a whole bunch of stairs, which we don't really have the means to do over here quite yet. But that connects roughly to the center here. It's probably going to be fine, just whatever it is. So the rest of these beavers, remember, we have like a third of our population are kits right now. That's not, it's really not ideal. Not at all. We're just going to have to do what we have to do here. So, this, I said I was going to put back into fast mode because we have the sawdust. It can easily be taken care of. This is at 60%. This one is already at fast. This one's already at fast. Should be okay. Now we just have to get through the rest of the night. I am going to remove so many of the working hours. We're going to go back down to 18. This guy's probably going to finish demolishing this blockage, and that's going to be good because then these guys can start putting stuff in here. Most important to have the pumps able to pump and to have storage here. You know, the rest of the stuff isn't really going to matter that much so long as we can have water coming in. If we have water, we can make mushrooms. It might be slow, but we can always make them. All right, so that's taken care of. Going to go ahead and get that there, and we will triple speed through the rest of the night here. Have to keep an eye on which of these pumps are actually able to pump. Keep in mind that these rice paddies will dry out in 7 days, in 5 days. And we are harvesting. We are trying very, very hard. But now we can come in here and we can start building stuff. Specifically, these water pumps. We do have the wood, so that should be totally fine. I'm going to take this out of triple speed because I don't want things to go by too quickly. I do have notes here that I've gathered. We are still gathering berries. No, they're not going into the library because the library is paused. These are inaccessible until I build some sort of other thing. There's no other berries over here. We just have the berries that are over here. We have up here, and we have over here. So this does mean, I didn't talk about these earlier, but this does mean that we can put in a gatherer flag in a place that they could actually reach berries, which this is going to cover here. Get these in range. That'll cover those guys, and if I had stairs, would cover these guys as well. It's just not a lot of opportunities here unless we rearrange our pathing just a little bit for us to put stairs in place. But this is going to give us access to these up here from this same one, and also some trees that can be cut down when we, inevitably need more logs. Which, by the way, I've been reminded, as always, thank you very much for your comments, that the pine trees in this mod are substantially worse than the everblossoms. And a viewer asked me, hey, why are you growing pine trees here? Because those are, they're not very good. And I had to admit that I forgot. So, we're going to fix that. These will no longer be planted as pine trees. They're also, not able to grow at all. And I'm not going to get rid of them without cutting them down for wood because there's no point. So, but we're not going to replant them as pines. They're going to be replanted as everblossoms, and that is just how that is going to go. A couple more logs left here. They're going to bring those up. We're still not out of, still not out of water. Food is, it's looking really bad. But we do have the ability to start solving some of those problems. Like I said, we're going to have to plant more cabbage. The sunflowers are a very bad food source. It is known. But we did need to have them to start making sunflower oil, which we have now filled up all our storage. We're not even pressing it anymore, so no real need to be upset about that. We're just going to fix what we can fix and not worry about the rest. Now, I am aware I have 17 unemployed beavers. I would love to be making paper still, but it consumes water, and I cannot afford to consume any more water than I absolutely have to. Which is, again, why we're doing all this. Now, I could put a pump here, and I probably should, but I figured these would be better investments long-term anyway, because remember, you don't have to have these active all the time if you don't want to, and they will work underwater so long as the entire doorway is not covered. So we can still have these operating during the wet season when stuff's coming up here. Obviously, when there's a bad tide, then this is all going to be poisoned, so it's not going to matter. But for now, what we have is we have the ability to have water pumps operating and try to keep our beavers alive. It's the best we can do. This stuff's all going to dry out. It just is what it is. We're going to move on and do our best. We're planting all these cabbages. Still have plenty of rice that has to be harvested. I guess I probably could go ahead and build that second farmhouse. I know we're trying to prevent population growth, but harvesting all this rice is going to require additional farmhouses in the future anyway, and I do have the logs for it. So, despite it seeming possibly like a bad idea, I will go ahead and build this so we can have some of these beavers who are not currently dead not be homeless, and at least one of them actually working here. If we get truly desperate for jobs, we can always pause the assistant farmers, but again, currently things are looking okay. Still pumping water here. Got a couple more logs to come this way. Then they're going to build these, and that's going to be nice. Still kind of keeping up with food. It's looking okay. Not looking fantastic, but we are surviving, kind of. Somebody is dying of hunger, but we do have food. We do have food available, so it's not all doom and gloom. Things are probably going to be alright. This still says 49%. I probably missed changing that over, but that's working well. That's working well. And that's working well. So we are, in fact, making mushrooms using less water per mushroom. I think it was like, what? 1 water gives you 10 mushrooms in the fast recipe, and 1 water gives you 2 mushrooms in the slow recipe. So if you have a lot of water and you are willing to wait and you want to just have bulk delivery of products, then sure, use the slow method. But for right now, in our current situation, it works. And it will help keep our beavers alive. Still got 2.8 days to harvest these. Obviously, that's not going to happen unless this gets built. But I'm not going to build that before we have another water pump here. Because remember, we're out of water. And if those beavers get hungry and thirsty, then they're going to lose all their working speed. And then it's really going to be impossible. That's happened to us a bunch of times. And I'm going to try my best to make sure that doesn't happen again. Other fun stuff is these beavers don't have any ways to wash themselves. So it's not... Okay, it's still a problem, but it's not a crucial life-ruining problem yet because we still have extra beavers. But by the time it becomes one, it's going to be very hard to solve it. So we can't build the tank shower because that requires boiled water, which we cannot do. All we can do is build a river bath, or... under irrigation, there is a small leaky bath, but that still has to be supplied. The only thing we can really do at this point in time is going to be to come over here and put in one of these river baths. I am pretty sure that is going to be the only possible way we can, keep these beavers alive. So I'm just going to put that there. I'm going to put in a scrambled log stairs, as long as it's the correct orientation, and just get that in here. And there we go. That's just going to be what it's going to be. Not much else we can really do about that. They have to be able to clean themselves, and it's just going to be mass chaos. So that is going to be prioritized there. This actually doesn't need to be prioritized anymore, because these guys can just go right here. Get that built. Keep things going. So now they're dying of old age. There is the one who died of hunger, but now we do actually have a little bit of food here. Water is always going to be kind of rough, and this can also be paused now, but we're not in danger of, losing the ability to take care of stuff quite yet because of labor. So that will probably have to stay how it is. Some of these trees may actually be ready for cutting in a little bit of time, but that's fine. Originally, just to kind of go back to what we were talking about earlier, originally these were set up here for harvesting of pine resin. But then we got rid of all of the brambles here, and now these are the pine resin trees. And that's fine. These chestnut trees... Oh, these might actually die. That's a problem. These take a very, very long time to grow. Okay. How fast are we going to get water through? Because remember, Waterbeavers does not have a mechanism by which to irrigate unless you build an irrigation lodge, which again we can do. It's just a matter of where here am I going to be able to construct. I can't see anything with this thing in the middle. Okay, I can actually build one of these here, and that'll keep just about... Okay, that's as far out as I can go. That'll keep all of these chestnut trees alive, and not all of those. If I put here, it'll keep more of those alive, and then like one or two on the edge will be eliminated. But this medium pile here is currently empty. We're going to get rid of it. Desperate time. Let's call for desperate times. Enunciate your letters. Call for desperate measures. This will save the most trees going in a place like this. If I get rid of the glorious storages that we don't need anymore, then that will make that even easier. I really wish I could hide these descriptions, but that is a limitation of the game, not the fault of the mod. This is going to irrigate just about all of these. Okay, this is a much better place for this anyway. So, while I do understand that we are very limited on water, if we let these chestnut trees die, we are going to be waiting a minimum of 32 days to be able to harvest chestnuts from them, and we want to have chestnuts. We have them now. But we obviously can't do anything because we don't have enough water to handle it. This is a very important building. Even if we just splash this once with a tiny bit of water, it's going to save some of the trees, and it's going to be worth it. We have all the materials. Not going to be a very big deal. So I'm going to prioritize this because now we have 20 dirty beavers, and now we're starting to actually have problems. So this water pump needs to be paused. We do have one of these that has builders. It's already paused. We already took care of that. It's fine. I'm trying to eliminate our job vacancies, if at all possible. See, these aren't jobs. Already... Ah, see, now, friends, we have the problem of not having any more water here, period, point blank. And I think I've paused all of these, except this one. So now we have a bunch of homeless beavers, but only the one vacancy. We have 3.3 days. We have the ability for them... Wait, how'd they... Okay, they built that from upstairs, which is always funny to imagine. We do have some water here. We have a lot of dirty beavers. It's only going to get worse, which is why we have to have this scrambled log stairs built as soon as possible so we can, you know, start getting some of those worker beavers back. But I am very happy to report that the food is still looking acceptable. These bits of rice aren't going to last much longer. I doubt this is actually going to do anything, but, you know, we tried our best. We do have some rice left here. They have some rice in here that is waiting for more mountain salt. Or actually, it's waiting for more rice. But we're going to be alright. We're going to be alright. We do have enough food now for one full day for the beavers. The water situation, it's going to be what it's going to be. This is still not enough, I understand. But, again, we are trying our very best. This needs to be a priority within the next day or two. So this chestnut tree says 3.9 days. This one says 4.1, and now I have 2.9 left. Yeah, see, it's just some of these are just randomly going to be running out sooner rather than later. All right, bring me my logs, constructors. Bring me my logs. Surely we have... Okay, we do. That was going to be a very embarrassing thing if that was not taken care of. But as long as we can keep all of the beavers from being thirsty, then we might stand a chance. Just bring the rest of the logs in here. Make it work. I know they're taking those things all the way across creation to take care of all those problems, but that's the way she's going to go. We're going to be all right, folks. We've made it through with basically, aside of this one, all the beavers dying have been dying of old age, which is the preferred method of death for beavers, as far as I know. Yeah, see, these guys being thirsty is not really helping the construction speed, but we are pumping. The reason I have not built any more of these pumps is because in 2.5 days we're not going to need them anyway, and so far we are managing to keep the beavers alive decently well. Now we have the stairs, which means all these beavers who are currently dirty can become undirty, and then that means we'll get them back as workers, which means this problem will solve itself, and we can start turning some of these other buildings back on a little bit earlier. Still looking pretty okay. Good. Now they're bringing the rest of these materials in here, which we do have. Again, all we have to do is splash this. It's going to be fine. These blueberries will almost certainly be irrigated before they die, but I kind of wish I would irrigate those as well. This irrigation lodge is still paused because obviously we don't need to irrigate it. These rice paddies are going to die. I'm going to, just for today, put this on 20 working hours to see if we can save a couple more of these, maybe. Because, again, it is very important. These guys are probably going to need to focus on harvesting rice paddies at this point. These guys can't reach. These guys obviously can still harvest whatever is here. But this one here, probably for the benefit of what we have going on. Actually, no, you know what? We've got enough food. We've got enough food to keep these guys alive. Alright, well that could just be normal then. Alright, don't forget to put this back down to 18 hours so we don't have any further problems. Now we only have 15 dirty beavers. No water still. But that problem will end up being just fine. They're going to finish this. And if I prioritize this this thing for a workplace, then that should ideally allow us to put a tiny, tiny bit of water in there. Is there any other building that's hiding water? Like, I don't feel like it's possible. There's obviously no water in here. I know I can collapse that. Yeah. Whoa, hold on. There's stats down here. Utilized potential 60.45%. Okay. Alright, well, again, all we got to do is just put a tiny bit of water in here. Just a tiny bit, and it's going to fix all of these problems. So as long as one beaver can come in here and take care of that, then we're going to be in okay shape. 1.7 days. This is built. I really needed to make sure this was built, but it's looking like we might not get the water anyway. So normally I wouldn't want to build in one of these spots because it's not going to be a great place to ensure we're always going to have access to water. But this is still connected here. That's fine. It'll be all right. Do remember also that these are levees. They will, you know, if we continue building around the edge here, they will keep water out, good or bad. So that's something that we can be fine with here. Still beavers dying of old age. No one else has died of hunger or thirst yet. I'm sure it will still happen, but all right, come on, give me one piece of water. A single piece of water. That, I think, is going... Ah, there we go. There we go. We saved some of these trees. So now this is going to be paused because we reset the clock. But that's a huge load off my shoulders here. No, we're not going to get more chestnuts growing right now, but we've reset the timer. That's what matters. This is all dried out. This is all about to dry out. It will probably be dried out by the time we get around to fixing stuff. But food-wise, I feel like we have basically guaranteed no one's going to die. Thirst is a much bigger issue, which again is why I did start building this pump here. Probably will become mostly useless when we get our temperate season back. But... you know, it is what it is. What are you going to do? So now seeing that we've solved most of these problems, I think I can go ahead and prime us for a little bit of a better situation with regard to pumping. Which means get these two deepest pumps turned back on. That way we don't have to have homeless beavers. And, you know, we can make sure those are ready to go at a moment's notice. And then the rest of these will be turned on as we see fit. Probably almost certainly going to end up pausing these. I'm sure some beavers are going to want to come all the way down here to take their river bath, but, you know, it's fine. It is what it is. If we can get another 7 logs in here before the end of this drought, then that's going to be nice. But outside of that, we've managed to avoid basically all of the bad stuff that I was almost certain was going to happen. So appreciate those of you who gave suggestions in the comments. And I am very thankful that I took the time to try and figure this out before recording this episode. I'm sure everyone is going to be happy to see that. Hopefully. I think the longer some of these series go on and the bigger the channel gets, especially starts to attract people that are maybe a little bit more critical of how I play the game than I would maybe necessarily prefer, but they're not wrong. I'm never going to tell someone they're wrong for telling me that I've made a mistake, because that's just how it goes, but I would like to not give them any more ammunition if at all possible. So we're going to try real hard. We're going to try to make sure things are as good as we can get them. Alright, so that's finished now, which means we now have another beaver pumping to try and get some more water. But, you know, half a day left in the drought. I think we can consider this to be a rip-roaring success. Absolute win. To only have a single beaver die of hunger after all that, the absolute disaster that was last episode. All that being said, now we have an opportunity to go ahead and put in a dam over here just to keep the water level a little bit higher. And even though we're going to have bad tides, it'll get flushed out. It'll be totally fine. I can't put anything in this hole here because it is not wide enough, but I can put something here. And I think I want it to be here. Yeah, so that's going to require that we put in a I'll use a scrambled platform, why not? It does require that I put in something like this so they can reach it. But I feel like it's going to be to our benefit more often than it's going to be against our benefit for us to have a dam here to hold more water in. Especially as we can continue to grow and continue to build irrigation lodges and start making more pollution resistance factor. That's going to be key. But it all just, you know, requires us to be a little bit further ahead of ourselves than we've been And, you know, it is what it is. But I am glad that we were able to, you know, harvest these blueberries with the help of this gathered flag. I'm sure it helped sustain our beavers. And now we can say, hey, all right, good job surviving. Congratulations. Now it's time to go back to work like nothing else happened. But we don't have to rush into stuff. They're still only dying of old age. And we're about to start unpausing all of these other buildings as soon as we get more water in here. So I'm very glad, very, very, very glad this was able to work out. We can start turning things back on appropriately. The sawdust situation is a little bit of a shambles currently because we turned all of these over to fast production, but it saved our butts. And for that, I am going to be very grateful, and we're just going to move on. So now we can finally have all of these things turned back on, get these guys back in the pumps, and I can pause these faraway ones just because, you know, that is what it is. I'm going to unprioritize by haulers, just make these into normal storages so we don't have to worry about it. And now we get these guys back in our normal spots. We'll get more water in here very, very soon. And then that should solve a lot of our problems, because now we're going to have 10 of these water pumps and only 72 beavers. Just losing the ones from old age. That is... I'm not going to say it's cool, because, yeah, but we sure did solve a lot of problems. Alright, so now we're going to get that taken care of very, very nicely. We've got some more trees to cut down. We got some trees to plant here. Let's not forget, I did say I was going to put Everblossoms, and I intend to keep that promise. Let's go ahead and unpause the forester, get those guys going, and then, of course, do what we have to do. Looking good, looking good. We've got our chestnuts. We don't have storage for them. And we also should remember that we can make chestnut beer. We can also set that to be chestnut beer. We can slowly start turning these back on. We don't really need to worry about that quite yet. But I am going to have them start fermenting the chestnuts. Get the storage in here. Obviously, it'll hold 45. We only have 20 because that's the storage I had in place. These are going to be dying because of contamination. That's just fine. These were emergency cabbages anyway. Now, friends, things are looking a whole lot better. Glad we decided to just attack the problem head on and not worry so much about, you know, all that other nonsense. And we have our emergency pumps should we need them in the future. Looking good, looking good. They're very thirsty. That's not going to solve that problem, but now things are looking tremendously better. All right. The library I am going to go ahead and turn back on. I know we don't have berries, but we've identified additional berries that we can harvest. Just going to take some time for those to grow back. We got these here. Still going to take some time, but maybe there's another way we can generate some science anyhow. I mean, the berries are still required for the advanced one, but it's only a single berry. So I'm going to go ahead and swap that over. We get our extra brain boosting salts put in here. Remember, we already had in the Mechanics Lodge all the brain boosting salts we needed. The logs obviously are going to have to go back in, as is the scrap metal, but that's not going to be a problem whatsoever. I am going to probably have to stem our reproduction a little bit. Might have to pause some more of these buildings as we continue going about our business, but just gonna do what we can do. Got our green peas here that can be harvested. Obviously, put them in the library. They're in the process, maybe, of getting that stuff taken care of. Rice-wise, I don't have any more rice because they haven't harvested this. They're obviously still planting that. One of these needs to be set for planting, obviously. They don't have anything else to gather. Things looking pretty okay. Still in the process of building this, but that should not be that big of an issue. Still planting additional stuff here. Still looking good. I am just glad we did not lose. Of course, they're dying of thirst now, after the fact, but it is what it is. Lost 3 to thirst, lost 1 to hunger. I was convinced we were going to lose half the beavers, so I will take that any day of the week. I also, as soon as we get a few more beavers that are able to actually work, then I will turn on the primitive paper mill again. We probably also should turn some of these back over to slow mode. In fact, I think I will do just that. We still have the brain stimulating, I always get those confused, brain stimulating mushrooms. But now we don't need those for the fast science. We just need to have berries, and we need to get those green peas in there, and they can make that happen. Still making kimchi, that is fine. Yeah, the water pumping situation probably is not going to improve tremendously for a while because, you know, they're still hungry, still thirsty a little bit. But we do have enough. We're going to be fine. Going to be just fine. Only one contaminated beaver still. I do have these medical beds for injuries that are supposed to have half fermented sake, which we are not currently producing. Yeah, we need to have more water for this. What if I change to the half fermented sake recipe? Okay, it's only 45. It's not going to matter. Alright, well, you know, seeing that, I'm going to go ahead and pause this so I can get one of those workers back. Focus on getting more of our water situated. This can be unpaused. Trying not to have too many open beds, but we definitely need to have water. It's more important to have the water pumping. Absolutely make sure that all of these pumps are prioritized. Okay, these are good. Good, good, good. And then we do have this one we can also unpause. And sawdust-wise, I'm going to go ahead and pause this just so we can absolutely make sure that we have the minimum number of open beds possible. These guys are working. They're not able to really do much because they don't have a whole lot of rice. So, seeing how we do have cabbage, we do have mushrooms, I'm going to start turning these back into braised cabbages generation. So that's going to be fine. We have these guys here really could use some help. I guess I probably should have a second farmhouse here. But I'll just let them do what they got to do. Now we have water. Now we're starting to get a whole lot more baby beavers, and I have space for twice as many that we have now. So I do need to, you know, stop them from making so many more beavers. So if I cut this off, we obviously can't make any more of this because we don't have any alcohol. So pause the alchemist. Takes us down to 8. And the rest of these are pretty important, but this forester can also be paused because, well, it's not really that necessary right now. Things looking good. Water storage continuing to increase. Food will be fine once we can get that a little bit more situated. These blueberries are not very easily accessible quite yet. Again, I think the most important thing for us to do with our science is to research the water pump upgrades. So I'm desperately, desperately hoping we can get any amount of green peas or berries in here. But it seems the beavers are, you know, a little bit more of the desire to eat those instead of putting them in the library, which I guess I could understand. But it's fine. Everything else is back in the Mechanics Lodge, which, honestly, for now, I guess I could pause. Yeah, because I am trying to keep the growth sustainable. Keep in mind, we do still have to feed all of these beavers. Still waiting on getting some cabbages, but we do have some braised, not braised cabbages, mushrooms ready to go. I need them to harvest these and not eat them. So, yeah, they just keep eating them. Kimchi, the same kind of thing. Would love for them to, you know, use this stuff for the purpose for which it's intended, but I guess I can't really be that mad. Let's go in cabbage harvest mode for a little bit, try to get these cabbages taken care of so we can try to make slightly better food recipes. Once we have more rice, then obviously I can put one of these back onto the rice ball situation, but you know how it's going to be. You can only do what you can only do. And sometimes that is enough. Sometimes it's not, and you can acknowledge that, but sometimes it is, in fact, enough. Alright, so this is looking good here. I know this is, you know, still going to flow out this bit here, and that's just is what it is. But don't forget, if we really, really feel desperate, We can always put something in this hole here by just removing this blockage, and then I can build just a regular lodge or something. That's not going to be an issue. In fact, we can make that a little bit easier by getting rid of that blockage, and then I can just put it right here, and it's still only a single hole. That's probably fine. Still making some very slow strides, but still some good ones. Not too much to complain about here. Still dying of old age. That is the preferable method of death. Berries not being brought in here because they're being eaten. But eventually, this problem will start to solve itself. Water storage, obviously, still a thing that needs to be taken care of. But we are making very, very good progress in that regard. I feel like we can finally relax a little bit. Maybe just a touch. I've got an extra beaver. I do want to get a lot of water stored up just in case. But remember, it's only day 4. We're on normal mode because you're not supposed to play Waterbeavers on hard. We probably have at least another 5 or 6 days minimum. So I think I can feel kind of comfortable turning the paper mill back on, slightly deprioritizing it as a job, and we can start making more paper. Because remember, it takes 5 hours to make a single sheet. And the Mechanics Lodge does still have to have another 18, so we can try to make the blueprint for the Floodgate Dam. The Floodgate Dam is not a cure-all for all of our problems, but it will make a lot of stuff a whole lot better. We're not going to kill ourselves to get there, but that is still one of our goals, after, of course, the primary goal being don't kill the beavers. So, other options we have for food, because I know people are going to ask. Really, at this point, if we want to, give the beavers bad, status effect or whatever, we can give them awful stew. It does function as food, but it's not going to make them happy. It'll keep them alive. But maybe only technically. That one would be a lot easier to do during a food crisis because, you can take bramble flowers and all of those pine resin pieces and all that nonsense. But the really good stuff doesn't become available until we can research the cooking house, which one of those is going to require a medium cauldron. And correct me if I'm right. You know what? Actually, let's just see if Tool Finder is going to help us out with this. It looks like, yeah, it's made in the factory. Okay, cool. Which, of course, we can't make because we don't have another anvil, and we have to demolish this to get that anvil. So, we've talked about that a bunch. We don't need to waste any more time doing that. But I am just... I wish this was a little bit of a faster process. I know it's absolutely killing some of you guys to watch this go so unbearably slowly. But I am going to unplant a considerable quantity of these sunflowers here, and we're going to replace those, even though they're not great food, with green peas, because green peas are useful in a lot of other recipes. And they do take 10 days to grow, and this is a theoretically protected space, so that's going to be just fine with what it is. It seems we cannot make cabbages fast enough, unfortunately. But that is, it's just the way it's going to be. Just the way it's going to be. Hey, we have berries now. We have berries, but the green peas, once again, are the limiting thing. If we can get them to deliver them to the library, then maybe we'll be able to make some more science. Remember, one green pea is going to give us 4 units of science. So in theory, we only need 3 to make their way over to the library. And I know we have some that we can, we can take care of here, but I'm worried that the beavers are going to eat them first. Still making a single mushroom on slow speed. This one was set to, sorry, got that backwards, fast speed. This one's set to slow speed. This one is also set to slow speed. It's at 89%, so another day or half a day, and that should be good to go. As long as we have enough stuff available so they don't eat the green peas immediately, and we can get them into the library, we might be able to get this done in today's episode. But berries going in here is very, very good. We do have paper here, which is nice to see. Obviously, it's a very slow process. It is what it is. But we're doing what we can be doing here. All right, 30 food. We should have these mushrooms coming out pretty soon, 95%. Yeah, just get I guess I can put this on triple speed here. Yeah, just get these out. They will absolutely eat all those. And then that's going to be that. There we go. Okay. I think now I feel pretty safe telling them to just harvest, or this one single beaver, to harvest the green peas. This is already set to prioritize by haulers. This is already, and has been set to prioritize. Just give me 3 green peas. Give me 3 green peas in here. And we're going to be good. I don't want to be in the business of trying to make deals. But I would very much like to have that. It'll get a lot easier in the future as we're able to get more farmland and start to move some of this stuff elsewhere and so on and so forth. You know how it goes. But it is a very, very annoying process. Very annoying process to get there. These guys are about to completely fill us up full of mountain salt here without anywhere for it to go because we don't have anywhere for it to go. They still have not, they've not harvested any of these green peas. Remember, each of these is 5 units, so we're probably going to be okay, but this one beaver, there we go. Now we're harvesting green peas. Grab those green peas out of there, hauler beavers. I know you can do it. I know you can do it. Just bring it in here. Hey, there we go. There we go. Now we're cooking. Now we're cooking. We got 14 of them in there. We can actually get everything situated, ready to go, so we can unlock the water pump upgrades. That can reduce our overall water pump count. And then after the water pump upgrade, I think the smaller stairs are going to be the next thing to get. But if you don't have water, you don't have anything. And that is a very unenviable position in which to find yourself in this game. So we'll let them take care of that. The food situation is still, it's pretty bad, but once I have my 50 science points, I'm going to pause the library. This stuff can come back out. They can chow down. I don't care. I gotta have my science. Gotta have my science. Alright, show me that 48 up in the corner. There we go. Show me the 52, and we're going to hit pause. Or maybe I should just let them keep going. See if I can get to 120 by the time I remember. But, take that triple speed. Let's go ahead and get this water pump upgrade. Man, this has taken 800 billion years. But finally ready to go. We're going to want to find a slightly more advantageous place to pop this. And I think what is going to make sense moving forward here is, just so we can hit pause, I'm going to demolish, I know that might seem kind of dumb, but we have 844 water right now. I'm going to demolish these. We have dynamite. If I blast one level out here, 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 and here, that's 5. That will allow me to have not only these 3 all at the lower maximum depth, it will also allow the upgrades to have that same maximum depth. So that will be able to, you know, not increase the capacity a whole lot, but it will make it so that they can keep going longer. We're obviously going to keep doing what makes the most sense for us here. But based on how things are going now, just go ahead and get rid of that. Go ahead and take our dynamite. And then 1, 2, 3, 4 here. I was wrong. It was not 5. It was 4. That will put us in a very, very, very good position. But they do have to build those. And again, it's totally fine because we, you know, have tons of water anyway. We don't want to let the population grow too big. I'm not going to put upgrades here because this is going to be one of the first ones that will dry out during a drought. But by putting it here, that can hopefully concentrate things a little bit better. All right, so back on the unpause thing. Food's continuing to improve. I haven't actually looked that critically on what these guys are going to be able to make. I did pause the alchemist thing, so we're not going to have any more brain-boosting salts for right now. But they're still making stuff. So the strong alcohols are a limiting factor. The chestnut beer, I have to have 50 to make 10 units. This has to have more water, which we do have, so now I can turn this back on. Just get water in here. 60 units of chestnut beer can be made from 50 units of water. And this requires 50 units of chestnut beer to make 10 units. It's a whole thing. But this will store 250, which means it can do 5 complete cycles of strong alcohol production, which is what the output can hold. So Things are looking okay there. I did say I was going to plant some more green peas here. Remember, long term, it's going to be better than having the sunflower seeds. It is a part of the fried rice recipe, which is probably one of the best mid-game ones we can have. We just don't have the lotus flowers yet either. Slowly making stuff work. It looks like these are all ready to go. Please do not explode. B for boom. Alright, that problem is solved. Now let's put back our water pumps. Just like this. Now, you might be asking, why don't I blast this down a little bit more? But this is already the maximum depth for this. Remember, it counts the height of the building itself without the structure on top as part of that 3. So that's what's going on there. So, we got these 3 here. These 3 water pumps. And then on top of that, we have, remember, we do have 4 gears, so I can build up to 4 of these, but I'm only going to be building 2 right now. All the other materials we have ready to go. Totally fine. Then this is a little finicky to place, but eventually, there we go. That's going to employ 5 beavers while only housing 9, which is going to be great because then we can, maybe pause these if we don't want them. Should have done this a long time ago, but, it again, takes time. That's just the way she goes, folks. Looks like there's a little bit more science we can make there. This requires strong alcohol, so it's not even worth turning that on yet. But we are, theoretically, assuming the hauler beavers can actually do their jobs, going to have this chestnut beer before too long, at which point I can unpause the distillery, and so on and so forth. The reason I'm not making the half-fermented sake yet is because I was trying to use the rice in here, which... Oh, now mushrooms are the limiting factor. Well, that's interesting. I didn't think that was going to be the problem. Okay, well, if that's the case... I don't have a lot of rice, but we will have some soon, next couple days. This is able to go ahead and be harvested, so why don't we do that? We also are kind of backing up on the mountain salt, so I'm going to turn this one into rice ball production. That should be fine. Should allow us to get something done at least. And I'll put this back on triple speed overnight. I'm not going to say we've recovered yet because the food supply is still very, very low, but what we have done... I feel like has been pretty good. We're approaching the hour mark, so we're probably going to have to end here in a little bit. Still a few things I'd like to take care of before we get too terribly comfy with ourselves here. Still have some more of these Everblossoms to plant. Going to keep ourselves in the know on that. What we really need to do is we really need to build storage, and this is admittedly something I have kind of been very forgetful about. But we have places here that are going to allow us to put in warehouses of various usefulness, just to store stuff like our chestnuts, so we can, actually do fermenting. And I guess I probably don't need to worry about saving space for different things here. Again, science is prohibitive at this point, so we're just going to do what we can do. I will leave that space open there for 3x3 in case I have to, but this would also be a good place. Hold 144. Would be a good place to have rice, but I already have storage for rice. What else? What else? Do I have any storage for mushrooms? I have barely 36. Okay, well that's not really a great place to put those. Cabbage storage. I have 36 storage for cabbages, but that's not really a problem because they're going to get used to make other stuff. You know what the heck? More chestnuts. Why not? We certainly have a lot of these that haven't even been harvested yet. That's fine. The rest of this, wood-wise, we're probably okay. Metal fasteners could use somewhere else to go. This is where another mine's going to go, so I'm not building anything there. Scrap metal's fine. Tar is fine. Tools are fine. Yeah, I don't have a lot of storage for various actual foods. That's going to require some time here. We have 30 science, though. Reminder that I do need to have 70 to unlock the stairs. Still working on that. How much paper have I made? 7 sheets of paper. Okay. Well, I'm not tempted to unpause this quite yet. Because, we have other stuff we got to do. But what's exciting is we're very, very, very close to having this finished. I'm going to have a couple of gears left, which means I'm going to be able to build 2 more of these upgrades or other things that require gears. I could make more gears in the Mechanics Lodge, but I've been so focused on this Floodgate Dam blueprint that I kind of don't want to mess that up. That being said, you take a look at the recipe for that. It's a very simple recipe, 10 hours to make a single gear. And if we're going to go ahead and actually, you know, have them do something, we might as well have them be making gears. So I'm going to unpause this now that we don't have a third of our population being the baby beavers. And it's not going to affect any of the rest of this stuff. It's just going to, you know, leave it off to the side. And that is totally fine. We've got some more of these Everblossoms we can pop in. These are still marked for cutting. That's totally fine. These are looking good. We have plenty of pine resin available. That's still looking good. This is ready for us to shove something in here to keep our water levels up if we feel like that is necessary. And that is going to be totally fine. Totally fine. We also, if we are going to be committed long-term to, you know, keeping this as an emergency thing, we do have the option of the pass-through lodge, which does require gears, which is part of the reason why I haven't built it. But that could go right here very easily with the addition of, or removal, rather, of one of these blockages. And that would keep the level consistent and, most importantly, separated if we were ever able to divert poison water coming from up here. Which, again, very long-term goals, but we are making it happen regardless. Very, very happy with the progress today. Very, very happy with it. Is there anything else I can turn back on? I guess I don't have sawdust, which is probably a problem, so let's get this log gnawing station back open. Start making some more sawdust for the mushrooms. Although this is stabilizing quite nicely. This is full of berries. I guess I do have storage for more berries. That's fine. Yeah, gonna get more of these green peas planted there, but I did want to get some rice so we can start making some more rice balls. But rice, oh, rice is going to need so much more attention paid to it, which is why we have these 2 here. Assistant farmer probably would help a lot, but I'm not going to, you know, get into that quite yet. I'm going to turn this back to planting mode. Probably not going to be too much more micromanaging that's going to have to be done over here, but I do want to do the best that we can before things get too terribly bad. Okay, distillery time. Chestnut beer. The beavers will drink that. That is actually, you know, drinkable alcohol beverage for them. So I would like for the chestnut beer to go to the distillery, although it appears it has already been consumed, which is, you know, that's my fault. But we have another batch coming in about a day and a half, day and a third. So it's fine. They're allowed to relax after a hard day's work and, you know, after all the horrible stuff I put them through last episode at the beginning of this one. But, folks, I finally feel like we're reaching a pretty good spot. Just need to get that science for the stairs. And once we have the stairs, we can start condensing, reorganizing paths. I know that's something people have brought up. And then we can access more parts of the map easily. And then after that, we can finally start unlocking some of these other storages. 120 science is a lot of science. That it's been holding us back so much. But we're about to be in a really good spot. Brain boosting salts again. No point in unpausing those until we have strong alcohol available. Probably, honestly, we could use a little bit more storage for bad water. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to demolish that. And in its place, I'm going to put a plank tank. And then next to it, I'm going to put a pit tank. Both of these for bad water storage, because you know we're going to want to have more of that. We don't need to have the brain-stimulating mushrooms yet, but those will be useful in other ways as time goes by as well. So this is basically always going to be poisoned. This is going to be a good place to put a plank tank, which I guess water is probably a good thing to have over here too. That's storage for rice there. That's fine. Yeah, not a single drop of chestnut beer made it over here. What a shame. But, again, I'm not going to get mad at the beavers for that. I think now that we have such a large quantity of chestnuts, in theory, available to us, I can kind of justify putting in another fermentation barrel. There's not really that much of a benefit to the building the fermentation house unless you also need to have a place for beavers to live. Based on the recipes alone, it is exactly the same, time included, so also it could be a levy, but I'm just going to go ahead and say we don't need to worry about that. This will become a fermentation barrel. This will become another fermentation barrel. Remember, you can have as many of these as you want, but I think it would just be a smart idea to have access to all of this best as we can. And I guess right here is probably going to make sense for us to have another plank tank full of water, so we can have stuff nice and easily accessible for all of our fermentation. Just make a nice, easy improvement. Got some more stuff we can plant here. Again, I'm doing green peas because they're going to be very important long term, and that's hopefully going to improve things for us. Yep, cabbages, cabbages, cabbages. Got to have those things growing. Much, much further on in the tech tree, we do have the Clockwork Hydroponic Farms, but again, that is just stupendously far out into the distance. We can't really afford to mess with that yet. Okay, so these are all plank tanks. I'm pretty sure I replaced just about all of these with plank tanks before. Ah, these are regular small tanks. All right. Now's your time, folks. All of you who are like, oh, why is this not have anything in it? Congratulations, you won. They're about to be replaced with small plank tanks, and then I'm going to have them store water, because now we're actually pumping enough. And the kimchi goes into the library, and that's fine. I'm not going to be concerned about it. What I can do though is, since I don't have enough bramble flowers, I can pause this, which means the cabbages will come out, which means the cabbages can go into this cooking tent, and we can actually make food for the beavers instead of just holding it to make snacks for the nerds. Alright. Hey, we got strong alcohol. Guess what that means? Alchemist time. Yeah, get these guys in here. Get all of that popped in place. We're going to be making a lot of good stuff happen, folks. And we managed to keep the beavers alive. So it's cycle 11. It's day 11. I'm going to go ahead and say this is where we're going to end today's episode. I really appreciate you sticking with me with this playthrough and trusting me to do a good recovery on this. I know it's very, very frustrating. I see the comments. I always read them, and it kind of breaks my heart a little bit when people get really upset about stuff that happens in these, because I am genuinely trying. You might not believe that, but I am genuinely trying to do this the right way and not be trolling or whatever. Look, if I wanted to do that, then there's a lot better things I could quote unquote better in that context. Isn't really a thing, but like, if my goal was to troll people, I wouldn't be spending hours a day playing Timberborn on YouTube. Come on. There's a lot more damage I could inflict a lot easier than that. But I'm very glad you choose to watch these videos. And I'm very glad that we get to spend this time together. Beard Boosters, I'm very thankful for you supporting me, supporting the channel, making it possible, to just have a fun time trying to do the best we can in as mostly wholesome environment. Sometimes this mod gets really hard, and that kind of goes out the window a little bit, but that's what I want to do. Is I want to be able to just have fun playing games and put out videos that give people a little bit of an escape from everyday life, because we really need that right now. So I'm thankful for you. I hope whatever it is you're doing at the rest of your day, you stay safe, you have fun, and we'll get to see you again soon for more beaver fun with the Waterbeavers, with the Iron Teeth, and with the Folktales, and with the Roller Coaster Tycoon stuff as well. I'm having a great time unwinding with that at the end of a week every Sunday. So again, very thankful for you. Stay safe, have fun. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.